So this is our first generation design over here. Uh, and so as you can see, this is the cylinder and there's no oil in it, right? It's all belts. So I'm tweaking the belts here. But our first generation design could only pull or push. And so we needed to do something with the belt because the belts are on one side of the carriage. This is the carriage.
Yep.
And so we have a very complex mechanism here to spool the belt and put it in places. And then we have all other kinds of things to handle the belt, really. And then you can see there's a big box here. And because it can only pull or push, it's single-ended, we had to add a spring for this demo unit. Usually the cylinder is in a vertical orientation and gravity is working against you. So you're picking up or you're pushing, but in a vertical orientation. So you don't need a spring or anything like that. But these are our first generation single acting cylinders. Trying to see if I can find our second generation cylinder. So our second generation cylinder actually can pull and push, and the team has been successful in reducing the parts count. So it's designed for manufacturing. So here is our second generation cylinder. This is being put into a test fixture, but you can see on the other end, there's no spring. In this particular case, the rod has been taken out as the team is working on it, but there's no spring on that one. And when you look at the box here, it's really small, right? There's no big white box in there. And then we can add a motor as big as we want, right? And so it's on the outside, so it can cool, and we have the ability to configure the system a lot easier than the second one.
Right.
So that's our second generation tech. And as I mentioned, typically the interface to something like this is power and CAN bus. And with CAN bus, you can get data, you can get logs, you can get, as I mentioned, force information, you can get health of the belt, so you know when to service the system. So that's our core tech. And then this is our liftgate product. Let's see, are you able to see the liftgate? Yeah, there it is.
Yep.
And typically, when you look at a liftgate, they have these boxes that at the bottom of a trailer. They have a box like this. Usually, they have a box that's twice as large and has 3 lead-acid batteries to drive the hydraulic system. And then on the other side, they have another box that's also twice as large that has the hydraulic pump, that has the hydraulic reservoir, that has sometimes a radiator, and then it has like the distribution box for all the hoses and stuff. And then the hoses run to the cylinders. Well, our system is a fourth that size, so we only have one box, and we have a very tiny box with a very tiny lithium-ion battery because we frankly don't need that much energy like a hydraulic system would. And then you can see here our cylinders inside of the liftgate. So that's where the cylinders are anchored. They're attached at the top, and they go all the way down, and then they go through here, and they go all the way down to the liftgate column. And the cylinder is the thing that pulls it up and down. This particular cylinder is being worked on today, so I can't operate the liftgate.
So these motors are all stepper motors. Is that how it works, or do they also have additional gear mechanisms to kind of give you the torque levels you need?
Yes. Yes and yes. So they are brushless DC motors, which are very similar to stepper motors, except they don't necessarily move in steps. You're able to use a controller to control them very precisely, and so on and so forth. And you can do what is called field-oriented control or vector control, which allows you to move the motor even in between what you would consider steps, so you get very even movement. And then the gearbox is a function of what the customers want. So sometimes we have direct drive motors, and other times we have motors with a gearbox. And gearbox, of course, allows us to increase the torque of the system, but keep the motor size small. We lose speed in that situation, but we end up saving costs for the customer.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the walkthrough. Really helps.